With Trumpcare having now passed the House and having the support of 216 Republicans, I now want to present to you one Republican that stood in the way. This is Representative Ileana Ros-Lehtinen. Now, she said before the AHCA vote that she would not pass this. She would not be voting for this. Now, in a statement posted this morning before the vote, the South Florida Republican characterized this bill as having, quote, the potential to severely harm the health and lives of people in South Florida. To that I say, absolutely, she is correct. It will, if this gets through the House, or I'm sorry, if this gets through the Senate and gets passed by Trump, it will throw 24 million people off health insurance, raise premiums for everybody, especially people who are old and sick, and some other provisions that I'm going to go through later on in the story. Now, in this statement, she said, despite amendments and changes, the AHCA still fails to provide for the needs of my constituents. I will not support a bill that has the potential to severely harm the health and lives of the people in South Florida. And therefore, I remain steadfast in my commitment to vote no on the AHCA. The recent addition of further funds to high-risk pools continues to be inadequate and fails to cover those who need it most. She again talks about the $8 billion put towards high-risk pools. Again, high-risk pools do not work. They have been shown not to work. They've been proven not to work. They've been proven to be more expensive, not only for the taxpayer, but for people that are paying premiums through health insurance. It just doesn't work. She also adds, if enacted, the older and poorer South Floridians will be worse off and I will find it more difficult to obtain quality health care. My constituents should not have to take a step backward in their ability to obtain treatment for any illness, and thus I will vote no. Now, that's interesting because Florida was one of the places that decided to not expand Medicaid. So people being hurt there, well, it's not exactly a surprise that many people were hurt through that decision. But this person is stepping up and saying, hey, man, we're not going to do any more. We've already hurt them enough. We're not going to do any more. And that's all this bill does. Now, I think that kind of takes some guts because she is bucking the party and she's bucking Donald Trump. Now, some of you might say, but Jeff, all she's doing is she's just trying to protect her seat. She's trying to run for re-election. Not necessarily. According to Think Progress, Ros-Lehtinen has voted with President Trump 74% of the time. So, look, she was steadfastly in support of Trump. Very, very conservative person. However, she is also not running for re-election and says on the merit, she thinks Trumpcare is a terrible deal for her constituents. Wow. So she's not running for re-election, and she's very, very conservative. And even she's like, this bill sucks. This is actually going to hurt my voters and the people that I'm supposed to represent. I'm not running for re-election anymore, but I still care about the people in my district. Again, that takes guts. Now, how bad is this going to hurt people? Not just in Florida, but everywhere across the nation. Well, again, we don't have a CBO score on this because they're trying to push this through as fast as possible before the score, so that people don't know how bad it is. But on the previous incarnation, which, by the way, this one is worse, they estimated that Trumpcare would have resulted in 24 million Americans losing their health care by 2026, with 14 million people losing coverage next year alone. That's a lot of people. Now, that bill, of course, was rejected because it wasn't conservative enough for the Freedom Caucus. This one, actually worse. It even jeopardizes people who have health insurance through work. Wow. Now, if you thought that last one was bad, and we all did, in fact, only 70% of Americans supported it, get a load of some of the provisions in this one. An amendment to the bill gives states the rights to waive some essential health benefits, which would erase caps on out-of-pocket patient spending. Now, also, that essential health benefits would also harm and affect people who get their insurance through work. So your workplace can say, I don't care about you having this benefit. I don't want you to have this essential health benefit. That's going to cost us too much money. Well, now you're going to lose that through work. Great. Now, it does give an extra $8 billion for high-risk pools. However, these pools, according to Democrats and most different healthcare experts, that $8 billion over 5 years is not nearly enough to cover the cost of keeping those pools affordable. Now, it gets worse from there. Again, those are bad. It gets worse. New ailments has been designated as pre-existing conditions. Get this. Domestic violence, having a C-section, postpartum depression, and rape. Rape is now a pre-existing condition. The House just passed this. They all agree. All 216 Republicans agreed, yeah, rape. We think that's a pre-existing condition. We think that's grounds for your health insurance company to move you into a high-risk pool where you end up paying more for your health insurance. Rape, domestic assault, surviving domestic assault. Okay? So if you were battered, if you're a woman, you were battered around, that is a pre-existing condition under Trumpcare. These people are monstrous. If you voted for this, you are a terrible person. You are a monster. I cannot believe it. This is unbelievable. Not only that, but Medicaid would lose 14 million enrollees and $880 billion over 10 years. That is roughly 25% of the budget, according to older estimates from the CBO. It would also defund Planned Parenthood. Not only that, but back to the Medicaid for a second, school districts that use Medicaid reimbursements to pay the salaries of special education teachers would now have to likely cut those positions or find different sources of funding. This is sickening. This is a disaster of a bill. And members of Congress have voted in favor of this. 216 House Republicans. This is just some of the disgusting pieces of this legislation. Not only the other stuff that we've reported, but this new stuff. Rape is a pre-existing condition. Surviving domestic assault, pre-existing condition. Postpartum depression. This is ridiculous. This is disgusting. This is monstrous. This is grotesque what they're doing in this piece of legislation. They're hurting people. They're killing people. Even. And look, the irony here is that this is such a bad piece of legislation. Members of Congress themselves are exempt from the AHCA. Hey, man, what, that healthcare? That's for you. No, I get the good stuff. I get the actual healthcare. You get the crap. See, all we want is we want the tax cuts and we want your money to pay for our healthcare, which is better than yours. It's disgusting. They actually did it, man. They actually took what was bad and made it that much worse. So bad that Republicans that are super Trump supporters, you know, hardcore conservatives like Ileana Ros-Lehtinen, they made it so bad that people like her didn't want to vote for it. Though, unfortunately, again, they had just enough to get it through the House. And if this goes to the Senate, oh boy. I mean, look, this might end up being a big fight in the Senate, hopefully. Hopefully the Democrats and enough Republicans defect to be able to stop this. But again, a lot of this stuff does go through reconciliation, which unfortunately means that some of it will go through. So, oh man. This is an absolute disaster. But again, I mean, the only possible good part about this is the politics of it. These people are going to get crushed in 2018. It's just, what's the cost? How many people are going to end up losing their health insurance? How many people are going to end up dying before we actually get on path to doing real health care, Medicare for all? I don't even want to think about it. It is just that bad. I can't believe they did this. And I hope someday, I hope they stop it. But again, I'm not that optimistic. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.